Hey, what up guys? So we're back with another Star Wars reaction video. If you're new, channel, welcome. This one was recommended to me by one of my viewers. I don't know if he's a subscriber because sometimes my subscribers have that option when they like put a comment. I could see if they're like publicly subscribed or not. So if they're subscribed or not, I can't tell sometimes. But anyways, this was recommended to me by one of my viewers who put it in the comments section of my Mandalorian documentary. Was it like 24,000 years of history video? And this one is called Fett Family Tree, Star Wars Legends Lore, and it is by EckhartsLadder. So shout out and credit goes to EckhartsLadder for the video. Now for Fett, basically I know Jango Fett and Boba Fett. Jango Fett was actually the very first Star Wars character I was ever exposed to in my entire life. It was because of the game Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which I played on GameCube, which I heard is actually coming on new consoles now. But I don't know if they're going to make any changes to it, like remaster or remake or anything like that. If they do, I would play that, because mostly out of nostalgia. And I didn't know Boba Fett was Jango's son, to be honest, even though they share the same last name. But technically, Boba Fett's not really a son. He is an unaltered clone of Jango, but Jango does consider him as his own son. So I'm really excited to see what this video has in store. But I know Jango Fett's a badass. He killed like 6 or 7, was it 7? Yeah, but anyway, several Jedis with his bare hands. He was captured and sold into slavery for a moment, but then he broke out, recovered his armor, and went on to becoming a bounty hunter. So he's a really badass character, and his story is amazing and then he got recruited by Count Dooku as well to become the template for the clone army. So without anything else, let's jump into the video.
Although arguably the most famous of his clan, Boba Fett is only one of a long line of powerful and important Mandalorian Fetts who have had a big impact on the Star Wars galaxy. In today's Star Wars lore video, we are going to look at all of the known Fetts in Star Wars Legends, excluding,
well, I only know
of course,
2 of them, so
all of the clones besides for Boba himself.
Oh, he does Halo videos as well?
Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars Legends lore video. As I mentioned in the introduction, today we are talking about the Fett clan. We're gonna go.
I still remember that fight scene from the second episode.
All of the Fetts in Star Wars Legends continuity. I do just want to mention that at the end of the video, I've got a couple of announcements to make about upcoming Let's Plays on my second channel, and they're gonna be space related, Star Wars related, and Halo related. So if those things interest you, make sure to stick around. So as I mentioned, we're looking at Boba Fett's family tree, and I just want to reiterate that besides for Boba Fett himself, we're skipping clones, because that would be a tree with millions, if not billions, of branches.
And that's gonna be a long video.
Boba Fett's backstory has changed several times. Originally, he was actually named Jester Muriel, and after being in the Sarlacc pit, became infertile, so that would have led to a rather short family tree. Later sources would retcon Jaster to be someone who knew Boba Fett's grandfather, taking him out of the Fett clan. With that known, let's go way back in Star Wars history, all the way back to the time of the Old Republic and the Mandalorian Wars. Although surely there were many generations of Fetts before him, the first known descendant of Boba Fett is Cassus Fett. Cassus first appeared, albeit indirectly, in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, his name does sound familiar now, yeah.
His pistol as equipment for your characters. Cassus was well known throughout the Star Wars galaxy even after the time of his death. He played a fairly important role in the Mandalorian Wars. Although he was only indirectly referenced in the Knights of the Old Republic game, the comics of the same name fleshed out his adventures during the Mandalorian Wars. Many generations of sons
unknown Kardashian Vortin
would
Como
then
Fett
lead to the father of Jango Fett, Boba Fett's grandfather. We don't actually have a first name for him, and the comic that he appears in refers to him only as Fett. This brings us back to the planet of Concord Dawn and the journeyman protector Jaster Muriel. As I mentioned initially in Legends, Jaster Muriel was the alter ego for Boba Fett, and he previously worked as a journeyman protector, but was kicked out of the organization after killing one of his own. Later this would be turned into a different character, with Jaster Muriel being a distinct person. He was also at time a journeyman protector, but was kicked out after killing one of his own, but would then go on to become Mandalore. It should be noted that one of the symbols you can see on Boba Fett's armor is actually supposed to be the sigil of Jester Muriel as a journeyman protector. Jester would also develop principles around Mandalorian culture and would form the Mandalorian Super Commandos.
I didn't know
Jaster
the
as
meaning
Mandalore
behind the
did
symbol,
face
to be
some
honest.
opposition, most notably the Death Watch, a rival Mandalorian group. Fett, who was also a journeyman protector on the planet Concord Dawn, was killed trying to protect Jaster from the Death Watch. Fett and his unknown wife would have 2 children, Jango and Arla. Arla, briefly, is obviously much less important for the Star Wars continuity than Jango Fett. She was taken by the Death Watch and for a while worked as an assassin. Jango, on the other hand, obviously had a much more storied career. Besides for being the base on which all clones were built off of, he was also one of the most famous bounty hunters in the entire galaxy. Jango's story has been told through various Star Wars Legends works, and I'm not really going to go over it in real depth here, but
And video
he did
games.
defeat Death Watch, the organization which killed his father, and would also participate in the Mandalorian Civil War. It could be said that Jango had millions, if not billions or more children, with each one of the clones who fought for the Republic being technically a direct descendant of his. However, only one of those clones was truly his son. That was Boba Fett. Boba Fett was one of the most important characters in the pre-Disney Star Wars universe, from directly participating and affecting the movies to being present during the Yuuzhan Vong War and long after. Aside from being one of the most famous bounty hunters and mercenaries in the galaxy like his father, Boba Fett would also become the leader of the Mandalorian people, also known as Mandalore, and would help train Jaina Solo, son of Leia and Han, in order to defeat her brother. Like many in his family, Fett would also work as a journeyman protector, especially after he met his future wife, Sintas Fel. Sintas and Boba would later separate after, like Jaster, Boba Fett would kill
I didn't know that.
one of his fellow journeymen. And yes, I know, this Jaster thing is super confusing. Before their separation, the couple would give birth to a daughter, known as Island Vel, taking of course her mother's name, but still being a direct descendant of the Fetts. Obviously, Island would become a bounty hunter and a fairly successful one up until the Galactic Civil War, at which point she was killed by Jason Solo. Island really wasn't a fan of Boba Fett and likely the Fett line as a whole, because her father left her mother ended up taking a bounty, during which she was killed. It should be noted that originally Boba Fett was supposed to be infertile after his time in the Sarlacc pit. Obviously, at some point, this was retconned in the Star Wars Legends continuity to make for a more interesting family. It should be noted though that Boba Fett had no other children that we know of, and he did survive his daughter. However, before her death, Island did have a daughter with a Mandalorian named Mackin Marek. The child was granddaughter of Boba Fett, Murta Gev. Although like her mother, Gev for a long time hated her grandfather Boba Fett, they would eventually team up. In one of their adventures, they found out that Murta's grandmother, Sintas Vel, actually had not died many years earlier, but had only been encased in carbonite, where she had remained for 40 years. Together, Boba and Murta rescued
40 years in
Sintas
carbonite?
and help her return to normalcy. Murta would later participate in the Second Galactic Civil War, later helping to try to find a remedy for the nanovirus attack on the Mandalorian home planet. Murta would have a romantic relationship as well with Ges Maraid, a fellow Mandalorian, although it's unknown whether they eventually parented children together. Such is the end of the Fett family history, at least the known line. Surprisingly, to my knowledge, no Fetts are included in the Legacy era. And although to be honest, by this point the family tree is getting fairly narrow, it's possible that it continued long into the future. Anyways guys, that was today's video. Before I sign off and leave you, I just want to make a quick announcement. Either tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to be uploading some gameplay onto my second channel, X2. I'm going to be playing Sins of the Solar Empire.
Alright, so that's Fett family tree. So, like I said, Jango and Boba Fett are the only 2 ones that I know, but Cassius Fett, at the beginning of the video, his name does sound familiar. I do remember that. But the one thing I really did not know was after Boba Fett. I didn't know Boba Fett was with someone and the generation continued after that. I didn't know about it. So that's really new for me. But I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on Boba Fett, because the thing is, I just don't know where it goes after that, besides the daughter that he mentioned. But anyways, Jango Fett, like I said the best representation of Jango Fett, of how he went from just a bounty hunter to being recruited by Count Dooku, was the video game Star Wars Bounty Hunter, because you could literally see his entire journey. I still remember that game even now, even though I played that played that game back in like 2004, 2005. That is crazy. And man, just mentioning that game really makes me want to play that game again. You know what? If that game does come out on PS5, I mean, I know it's on PS4, but I really want to see what they're gonna do to it first on PS5 or something like that. Like, is it gonna be remastered? Is there gonna be improvements, things like that? And if there is, then I want to play it again. I'll play it again just out of nostalgia, but I'll play it on the channel. But anyways, that's all I got for today. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. Thank you so much for the recommendation, as always. If you guys have any more recommendations of any videos you guys want me to see, please put down in the comments below and I'll take a look at it when I can. And make sure to hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. And thank you so much for your support, guys. I really do appreciate it. It means everything to me and is what keeps this channel going. So until then, I'll see you guys next time.